Greetings, everyone. Here we are with another delightful unboxing of a role-playing game. I'm holding this up close to the camera so that you can see clearly. However, it is important to know that this outdoor survival is about the typical size of a typical starter set box. And if you see clearly right here, this box is way smaller than a typical starter set for a role-playing game. Now, the thing that caught my eye on this is rather interesting. Get my knife out because I'm going to need it in 5 seconds. A card-based tabletop role-playing game. Now, there's two types of card games. There is a fixed or set, and then there is a collectible trading card game, or an expanded, a continuously ongoing set. There's a limited and unlimited. So, this Zombie World game is produced by Magpie Games. It includes a 36-page rulebook, one Enclave playmat, one Game Master playmat, 8 player playmats, 8 basic move playmats, 1 dry erase marker, 110 cards including 8 advantages, 16 population, 2 enclaves, prison and hospital, 16 past, present, and traumas, a survivor deck, a bite deck, and a fate deck. That's a lot of decks, and that's a lot of playmats in such a small box. As we can see on the back, I believe these are what they're referring to as playmats, and these are the various types of decks. My goodness, this has to be a really small cards. So let's go ahead and bust this open. I cannot remember off the top of my head what I paid for this. It was on my endless list of hunting around and trying to find other tabletop role-playing games that I have not done overviews or unboxings of starter sets for. And I come across this, and it's a card-based tabletop role-playing game. There are a few other games that are tabletop role-playing games that are card-based, such as Dungeons & Dragons 4th Edition. Trust me, it is a card-based game. And Dungeons & Dragons Gamma World, which is Gamma World 7th Edition. So what we have here is the book, which has the rules in it. It's a two-staple book. The standard color theme is the classic red, white, and black, which are very primal colors, and also 1930s Germany, 1930s, 1940s Germany colors too. So, I've got summary of mats, listing out all your different mats, creating your enclave, creating your survivors, relationships, allies, your character equipment, start playing. Here's a quick example. Your moves you can perform in the game. Basic moves. Notes on help or interfere. So you can help people and interfere with them. Notes on harm and stress. Gives you a little example down here in this little red box section. Every time you see this little red box section, it's an example. Zombie moves, as well as their fight the dead, fool the dead, flee the dead, and so forth. Notes on zombie moves. Making a plan, advantages, with an example down there of advantages. Bite deck information. Identify cards, stress. Reshuffling the bite deck. Apparently you reshuffle it probably regularly. Enclave population, allies. Foraging, basically hunting around and finding stuff. Harm and death information. Adjudicating death, making a new character. So if you have to make a new character very quickly in the game, there's making a new character information. Running the zombie world, depicting characters, Setting scenes advice, clearly game master advice here. Adjudicating rules, making your own moves, playing a single session, playing for a series, so essentially a one-shot versus a campaign. And then we got a card checklist, which is nice because it helps keep track of all your cards in the box. You have the past cards, the present cards, and the trauma cards. You have the credits here. And yet again, on the very backside, a nice little index, which is nice to always have on a book, particularly on the backside where you can easily look at it very quickly in a hurry and find, oh, I need information on component list. That's on page 2. So there you go. We have what they claim to be, this looks like it's basically a cheat sheet on basic moves. And there's on the backside zombie moves. So there's supposed to be multiple of these. Oops. Everything falls out at me. So we happen to have, as I think we said here before, there was like 8 of them, correct? That's a good number of them to have. I think they're referred to these as mats or something like that. On the backside, they have zombie moves and the basic moves on the front. So you got a total of 8 of those. I might have been holding too far away from there. And then on the backside of these 8 cards, there's also the zombie moves deck information. And then we have the character cards, which has Savagery, Soul, Steel, and Survival, with the past, present, and trauma slots up here, with some information down the sides, character name, and your allies, and your stress level here. Stress level, your stats, your allies, your basic information, your past, present, and trauma section. And there should be, on the backside it says Zombie World. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think there's a total of 7, 8 here. 7, and then 8. And then here is the Enclave card with a negative version of the Zombie World logo on the backside. And the Game Master mat or reference card right here. So some quick conversions here. If you have a Game Master with 2 to 5 players, Game Master with 6 players, and a Game Master with 7 to 8 players. Which is handy that they are nice enough to think of like, hey, this is your rules manual page 7 right under here. It's references. And they give you quick conversions if you're having different size groups. Then we happen to have the dry erase marker with the white cap. These typically don't last terribly long. Dry erase markers are kind of neat. There is a neat trick, however, with dry erase markers. If you have a permanent marker on an object, like a video game cartridge or something like that, and trust me, I know a bit about permanent markers on video game cartridges. You can take a dry erase marker and rub it very vigorously. You should get a good one with a big broad tip on it and rub it very vigorously on the permanent marker. Give it a good long time. Just rub. And eventually you'll get it liquefied enough, or the alcohol and the compounds in the dry erase marker will seep into the permanent marker mark. And then you can wipe it off with a napkin or a towel, and the permanent marker will come off with the dry erase. We happen to have the permanent marker there, and then we have the 2 decks here. And in the bottom of the box, there is this little piece of plastic that is a nice little holder for your decks. Nothing under that. That's just a untreated box bottom, as well as the top is also untreated as well. We have the Enclave cards, as well as the skill and equipment cards. And then we have various your population deck right there. And I was thinking that these were going to be smaller than standard size cards, but they are pretty much standard size playing cards. With the standard, I trim my fingernails so short because I have such a compulsion against seeing dirt under them, and I work in a scrapyard that I cannot stand seeing dirt under my fingernails. So I cut them off super short, and then I end up with situations where I have to pull something off with just my fingertips, and I can't do that because I don't have fingernail tips. I just have them nipped off really short. Otherwise, I get the compulsion to chew on them. But anyways, we got the population deck. We have, on the backside, as you can see here, strong fences. There's actually two different decks. There is the population deck here. And then we have the Fate deck. And then it transitions into Trauma. And then we have a Survivor deck. And then we have still more Survivor deck. Specifically the Edge. And then we have Advantages. So we have a few different decks piled up on each, stacked together in the same little package. And these are as I said, the Fate cards. And these are actually, the art on these are actually quite nice. It is a good minimalist art style that fits the feel of a zombie world where people have very limited access to colors. And these, by the way, are very primal colors. These colors are among the most basic colors in which people see at very young. And almost every animal can see these specific ranges of colors, like black and white and red. This is the beginning of the Survivor deck. Very good artwork overall, I do agree. You have multiples of the same thing. You got a miss card, an opportunity card, and then you got traumas. If you want to read the cards, you can slow down the video and easily read the cards. Or even slow it down and pause it for easier reading. And those are all of the cards out of that one deck. Oh, if you are curious how to get those back into a plastic wrap, the easiest way I ever found to get them into a piece of plastic is you do this kind of setup. And then you pinch like that, so you have it narrowed. That way you can insert, oops, Of course, I'm having a difficult time because I have to hold it so I can show on camera. But anyways, you have the outside cards pointing inwards at the bottom, and it's easier to do it setting it down on the table. Now that they're in, you can just push them all in all at once, and they're back inside the plastic sleeve. And I'm just going to toss the remainder plastic in the bottom of the box. Oops. Apparently I lost a card out of it when I was fumbling with it. But it's on the end, so it's easy. And then we have the other cards. So far, this system has got a single book, which is for the players and the game master. I personally don't care for having books that are both for the player and the game master. I have a strong preference towards having separate books. It appears whenever they make these, when you see this golden band in here, a golden band, there's usually a spot where it's not right at the very end, where it's a semicircle, where you can actually lift up the band and break it, pop it out. However, in the case of this deck, there appears to be no starting point actually cut in. So I had to literally cut it in myself with my knife. That is rather interesting that they failed to actually put that in, and it broke. So there we go. And now we actually have the next set of cards. And we got more population cards in the second half of the deck. And then this is a bite deck. There's the bite deck art on the backside. If you want to read the card, you can just slow down the video yet again. Oh, that's actually part of that's the past cards. Oops. Oh yeah, and these are the present cards with the skull on top, bleeding over the planet Earth. Specifically focused over the North American region of Earth. And then we are on to the Enclave cards, which we have a Prison, which has its own art style on the back side. We got 2 of them. And then we have a Hospital, which we have 2 cards for as well. Overall, I think this is rather interesting. I don't really play very many card games outside of a long time ago, Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, and Magic the Gathering, and Yu-Gi-Oh! Incidentally, I was no good at any of the card games I ever played. My compulsion for trying to design a deck that could cover every situation kept overwhelming me. Like, I kind of like, every time I tried to make a deck, I would try to, like, put a solution for every problem into the deck, and it just never worked. But every so often, when I just was, like, frustrated and I just threw a deck together based on a single color theme, I did quite well. So, overall, I feel that this would be a very fun party game. There is some small notations I should state here. Based on from what I could tell from my quick flip through, is that the system definitely does fit the party game kind of feel, and you kind of have sort of this quasi tabletop role playing game experience potentially with the system. I don't really see much in the way of leveling or long-term gameplay structure. Based on my general knowledge of zombie settings and player habits, as well as my rough guess at the basic structure of the game, is that this game probably is strongest in single session or short series play, where you guys basically have a Halloween party or something like that, and every group of people get together to play Zombie World or some other event in which they decide to play a Zombie World game, and maybe play it not just over that one party, but maybe be a weekend, 2 or 3 sessions. However, my feeling is that a zombie-themed tabletop role-playing game that's based around cards probably won't have 7, 8, 12 session or even 1 or 2 year game lifespan. However, if you feel that it's different, that is not the case. Feel free to dump it in the comments below. If you have played this game before, I would very much like to hear your thoughts on it. I literally just put the back of the box on upside down. I do that all the time. Jesus Louises. It's like one of those standard things with me. Put box top on. Turns out it's upside down. But anyways, I feel that, as I said before, that this is good for a single game here and a single session there and there. Little scenarios here and there. Or maybe a short series of games in the same adventure. However, I'm not entirely certain that this will have lasting potential beyond 6 to 8 sessions. However, that does seem to be a common pattern with a lot of people today, being only limited to playing 6 to 8 sessions. So it might just work out just fine that way. The system doesn't seem to have any leveling mechanic as far as I can tell. You just simply equip various cards to your character to change various conditions on your character or add abilities. Stuff like that. It does suggest that it's a 3 to 9 in player range. time frame is 2 to 4 hours, which is a half a session to a full session. And ages is 17 plus. So overall, I do feel that this is very well organized. It probably won't be terribly hard to learn this game quickly. However, it's also probably just a tad complex enough that if you are just simply hanging out for 4 or 5 hours with people to play, it might just take you a little bit longer to learn than it is to fully enjoy. Maybe if you had like a New Year's Day party where you're there for like 6 or 8 hours, and someone could sit down and quickly read through the rules of the system and essentially game master everyone else through it, that would perfectly be fine. However, it's just probably not. It's not like Monopoly or the Game of Life or Shoots and Ladders where you can just set it out and like someone simply reads through the basic instructions quickly, sets it up, and then everyone starts playing. This will require just a little more coordination and planning, but it's not on tabletop role-playing game levels of planning for a session. So it shouldn't take terribly long. It probably will depend on the level of creativity of the game master running the system to come up with a good story to set the party into, and let the party go into that and explore the situation. But there you go. Probably be worth trying to check out and see if there is any more helpful advice on the official Magpie website, as this is a Magpie Games product, much like Avatar Legends. And yet again, as I said, it just bothers me to see he just a nick on my thumbnail or fingernail. But okay. I feel, however, this is probably, honestly, considering how small the box is, this is probably a good travel size box for going to parties and pulling it out for a quick game here and there. This is Animal Adventures. That's actually the next one in a series of videos I'm going to go through. It's really hard to put like a preliminary overview score of this product. It does feel like it doesn't seem to be missing anything particular. There are the cards, in fact, on it that has a lot of the rules for the game. There's the one card for the game master, which has a lot of the core rules for the game master, and then there's a card for every player, which is the mat, that has all the basic rules for how to play the game with them. And then you have the character cards, which has more information on it. So between the player's 2 cards and then the miscellaneous other cards they draw from the decks and the Game Master mat, this shouldn't be terribly difficult. You don't really need a Game Master screen for this. Let's just say this is fairly well thought out, and probably is a 3.5 star on the preliminary overview score. If I ever do actually get around to actually playing this with a bunch of people a couple times, and I get in a actually good range of scenarios, I might be able to do a review and give a final review score sometime later in the future. That is extremely rare, as it's really rare for me to actually get to run an entire adventure for a bunch of people. It's mostly all one-shots that I homebrew together there, or a handful of Call of Cthulhu scenarios, actually published ones that I get to run people through. Otherwise, most of the gamers in my 3 groups prefer homebrew campaigns as opposed to pre-made ones. They kind of feel that the pre-made ones are a little too on the rails and a little too awkward in design. And they much prefer that my creativity when it comes to home brewing on the fly, when it comes to stuff like that. So there you go. As I said before, if you have played this, leave comments in the comments section telling me how you thought about it. If you are interested in more of this stuff, subscribe to the channel and hit the bell. Like this video and also comment in the comments and maybe even share it. And see you next time. Ciao. Have a